What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Never Fail, and welcome back to what would make Call of Duty perfect for me. I think this whole series is damn near taking place on this one map with this one gun, because all these games came from one lobby and we kept playing slum somehow. But let's jump right into it with the old school create a class system on every other Call of Duty leading up to this one. You had pretty much your primary, your one attachment, your secondary, your 3 perks. If you had Warlord and you or Bling or whatever, you could have a second attachment. You had your lethal and you had your tactical. And then Black Ops 2 comes around and they have a pick 10 system. You can do whatever you want to for the most part. And while I think the pick 10 system is the way to try to go, I believe it needs to be expanded upon, because I believe in its current form it is severely flawed. I think it's still better than the old create a class system. Like I said, I believe it's severely flawed until you expand upon it. Instead of a pick 10 system, I'd like to see it pretty much completely go to the type of system MAG had, considering this is essentially where the idea it came from for Treyarch, in my opinion. And the way it worked in MAG was different weapons had different values, and I hope you can't hear that plane flying above me. I do live fairly close to the airport, probably about 10-15 miles away from one, but had it where different guns had different values, and your secondaries obviously much lower value. And that's the issue that I think you run into with Black Ops 2, is a secondary costs just as much as a primary. So in all honesty, in order for it to be justifiable to use it on a class, it needs to be good and needs to be powerful just like a primary, because it's going to cost the same. So I say we should get away from that. Just like a tactical grenade, a lethal grenade, an attachment, none of that shit should cost as much as a gun is to equip. It just shouldn't. It's not smart balance, because then what's the point of it costing a full point if it's not any good? You know, if it's not a good attachment or it's not a good weapon, why should it cost so much? And I think it would also help with gun balancing issues, and I've said this before. I believe it really would, because then you can just make something that is deemed to be overused or overpowered, just make it cost more than the other guns in the tier, you know, in the weapon class. That way, that if somebody wants to run it, they have to kind of handicap themselves a little bit in order to continue using it, because they can't afford quite as much stuff to go with it. It's really not a whole lot more to say in regards to that. So I just like to see it be cheaper, or be more expansive in regards to how many points and all the good stuff that goes with it. And that's about it on that end. So let's break right into the perks. Like I said, on every other Call of Duty, you had three different perk tiers, and you could pick one perk in each tier. Black Ops 2 comes through and gives you wild cards for each tier, so you can have, you know, up to 6 perks on at one time. And sure, you have to kind of neuter yourself a little bit, but in all honesty, perks are probably the most powerful part of a creator class in regards to giving you advantages over the enemy. Because let's be honest, with the correct setup and loadout in regards to your perks, you can really do some damage. And what I would like to see is, I would like to see the 3 wild cards go down to 1. And now 1 wild card that can be used on any perk tier, but you only get 1, and so you could only have a maximum, and that was terrible aim, you could only have a maximum of 4 perks, as opposed to being able to have a maximum of 6. Reason being, I think whenever you give somebody the ability to have on multiple perks from each tier, you really start to affect and screw up the tier or perk balance, because the whole idea behind perk balance is, do these perks kind of balance one another out? Are they all on equal footing to where they're all very useful? And I think Black Ops 2 has done a very good job, with the exception of the 3rd tier. I think they have done a very good job with perk balance. Tier 1, you have a lot of perks that are really useful. Tier 2, especially with the amount of EMP grenade spam you see, you know, hardline, while not the greatest of tier 2 perks, it's still a viable perk. Tier 3, Like I said, that's the only one I think they really failed on, because I feel that dexterity is damn near the best perk period in the tier, and there's nothing that really competes. If the sound was better, then it would be more balanced. So I'd like to see that change, because I want to make it where you have tougher decisions. Like with me being a perfect example, with me liking to use scavenger due to my bad aim that makes me burn through ammo while trying to kill multiple enemies, and my absolute disdain for view kick, I just run toughness and scavenger on every class. And if it wasn't for the wild cards, I would have a decision to make. So like I said, I'd like to see it drift away from that in order to maintain better perk balance. Then going even a little further in regards to the create a class system and the whole weapon thing, you could really break down into fixing up all the issues people have in regards to weapons that are overused. Like I said before, you could really fix up issues with people complaining about overpowered pistols, because you wouldn't have to make them so good. You can make something like a anti-air rocket cost a different price than an RPG, since you can't kill anybody with the anti-air rocket. Well, unless you're a beast like me. I shit you not, I do have one kill with the FHJ-18 anti-air rocket on Black Ops 2. Poor sap was standing next to the Guardian that I was trying to destroy with it while going for the gold camo for it, and I got one kill. I think my KD subsequently with the gun is like a 0.04 or something, but it still was funny when I killed that guy. It's my most proud moment in Call of Duty history. Like I said, I really don't have a whole lot more to say. For the most part, the create a class system is phenomenal in Black Ops 2, in my opinion. It's just little minor tweaks and, you know, some more diverse and expansive system in regards to the Pick 10 system, I believe could really allow this game to flourish, or future Call of Duties to flourish to a whole new height. And ideally, that's what we all want to see. I mean, the core mechanics of the game need to be what they are, which is a nice, fast-paced, arcade-like shooter. But we always want to, you know, we always hear people complaining it's the same game, reskin, new maps, few new guns, few new streaks. And when somebody like Treyarch, you know, they differed from that and they really changed some shit up, people complain, myself included. But for Call of Duty to continue to survive, they've got to do something that provides something new, because at some point playing the same shit over and over again is going to get boring. Trust me, I played one game on PS3, Warhawk. God knows how many hours. It was probably around 1,500 hours I put into that game. I love that game. I still think that is the best, most balanced online multiplayer game I've ever played. So hopefully Call of Duty can continue stepping toward that. We shall see. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one last thing I wanted to touch on with the kill streaks that I forgot to mention in that video. Support streaks should never return to Call of Duty ever again, and maybe a nerfed down version of the specialist should, but you shouldn't be able to get every perk in the game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I thank you for watching. Final score was like 30 something and 5 or some shit.